I have memories of, on wartime road trips, delivering supplies and, still laughing and listening to music as you drive, 100 miles an hour because there's no speed limit in wartime Donbas. I was thinking back of life in Ukraine before the war. They told these horrible stories of the trench warfare. I gave them some tequila. You see the sacrifices that people have made, whether it's the lost lives or the lost limbs.
In Ukraine, and we'll take you there right now for Joseph Lindsley. Joe, hello to you. Yesterday, we were talking about the possibility that China, because of their own selfish self-interest, might get involved in peace talks. And today, there's a story about China and a peace plan, or a 12-point position paper they released. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think in some ways I'm not surprised because the Chinese, what do they stand to gain from a war that disrupts the entire world? It disrupts the global economy. And so it would make sense. But also, I mean, the Chinese have the same, we have to call it maniacal attitude toward Taiwan that Moscow has toward Ukraine. And so I think we also have to be very careful in trusting what they're telling us, because they also seek to destroy a sovereign and free nation for the simple fact that Taiwan is a free country that they cannot control. And so we must always remember that as these coming weeks, no matter what we hear from Beijing.
Mm-hmm. So far, the word from Kyiv is they're looking at this very cautiously, aren't they?
Yeah, as they have to be with anything. For example, the Hungarian government said that Russia and the United States need to negotiate without Ukraine, and so we do see sort of people, who don't really believe in the cause of freedom and don't believe in Ukraine, who whenever they push for these types of negotiations, it means they want Russia to be able to make a deal where Russia can get something out of this. And Ukraine and people like Boris Johnson, who by the way now wants to be Secretary General of NATO, are saying, if you negotiate and appease the tyrants, this is never going to end.
U.S. officials at this point are criticizing this paper from China. It does state that the international community should create conditions and platforms for negotiations to resume, and it claimed that China would continue to play what they termed a constructive role in this regard. Well, we'll see. Joe, I want to share a text with you this morning. Listen to this. Hi, Bob. I'm listening to Joseph as I do every morning, and I'm in awe of his spirit and the Ukrainian people. We lost power the other night here in Crystal Lake. It's cold in our house. I can't help but think this is what the Ukrainian people have been living with for months. It puts things in perspective that our power will be restored, and this will have been a minor disruption. Thank you for bringing Joseph into our mornings. I've said this often when you have told us what's going on over there, that whatever problems we're faced with here, traffic, weather, seem minute and inconsequential compared to what you're going through, especially this winter.
Yeah, well, and I think Ukrainians, now as they've lived through this for 1 year, and today's the 1 year anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. It's also the 9-year anniversary of what started this, Ukrainian people demanding to be free in 2014. But so many Ukrainians are saying, having gone through this now, they will forevermore pay attention to similar situations like this throughout the world. Because plenty of people here didn't pay attention to what was happening, say, in Syria, or the people of Hong Kong who were oppressed by Beijing. And so for Ukrainians, even as they live through hell, they are becoming more empathetic to those going through difficult circumstances all around the world.
I saw some poll results that indicated that compared to a year ago or less, the people there in Ukraine are I don't want to say they're not happier about what's going on, but they're more focused on winning. More of them believe they will win the war. President Zelensky, in his latest statement, seemed confident, but people seem more confident than ever now, despite what has happened and all the destruction, and that is amazing.
I think, yeah, and part of it is, you see the sacrifices that people have made, whether it's the lost lives or the lost limbs, and you say, that cannot be in vain. It's hard, and on anniversaries, you tend to think about, what was our mentality 1 year ago? And it's like and you would know this in Chicago in the depth of winter. Can you remember summer? It just seems like it's a different planet, and it's the same, I think, with war and peace. And I was thinking back of life in Ukraine before the war, and when I was stuck here in the pandemic, and like the Greek Catholic people of Lviv, they like to go to their coffee houses and go hiking in the mountains in the weekend. It was such a genteel, calm, sweet life here. This sort of time of innocence. And then the city of Kharkiv, from which I speak to you now, was an American dream mentality city. People, they had goals, they worked hard, they used their freedom well. And then I think, especially today, those first gray hours in Lviv, it was just like an absolute apocalyptic nightmare. No one quite knew what was happening. People were, you go to the store to maybe buy some stuff. You don't know if there's going to be Russian tanks coming down the street in a few days. And then gradually you began to adjust and people began to cooperate and the spirit was rebuilt. And I was thinking of, in our news bunker, in those early days, all kinds of volunteers started to show up, and including foreign fighters who were fresh off of battles in Irpin and Bucha, and they told these horrible stories of the trench warfare. I gave them some tequila because they were kind of broken and shaken, and then they christened our news bunker the Resistance Bunker. And pretty soon we had all these crazy characters showing up, and sometimes it was hard to know who was a spy, who was a weapons dealer, who was actually, a genuine volunteer with good intentions. They were very crazy days. And then I have memories of, on wartime road trips, delivering supplies and, still laughing and listening to music as you drive, 100 miles an hour because there's no speed limit in wartime Donbas, through what the Ukrainians call the wild fields, the ancient homeland of the Cossacks. Or, one time coming under Russian artillery fire and having to protect our translator, a young girl. Or the time we were in the summer, there was kind of a strange lull for a little while, and we were with some American musicians and Ukrainian girls. We were set dancing on the shores of the Dnieper River within sight of the Russians who had occupied the opposite shore. And that was just a couple of weeks before they began to attack that city of Nikopol. And then, that days like that, October 10th, many people kind of fallen into a bit of a complacency after the liberation of Kharkiv. And October 10th, that first of what ended up being more than 20, twice monthly Russian missile strikes all over Ukraine, and realizing, once again, how much Russia is seeking to destroy this country. All of these wild memories and I think sort of encountering the best of humanity, surely also seeing problems. Bob, I was remembering also, I told this story of how I starved at Chuck Norris's house. I tried to tell it in Ukrainian to soldiers in a camp right at near the front lines. And so we had so many adventures this year. But I think as we look back, there was a Ukrainian girl, a poet, and she said, every day is a revolution of personal vividness. And so we are living in this kind of like a huge self-help book, and everyone working together, using everything that we've learned through the war to stay strong and to help in every way possible. And it's even the foreign reporters that come here. I mean, with a few exceptions, everyone that comes here believes that this is a totally right and just cause. And so there is an amazing solidarity from Ukrainians and to people all over the world. And that's what gives us energy on like, I'm expecting the air raid alarm to go off at any moment and some strike today, but so far it is calm.
What you described, Joe, sounds like scenes from a Hollywood movie, but it's been your real life for the past year. And that poll I mentioned was taken this month by the Ukrainian Rating Group Institute. It indicated 95% of Ukrainians are confident in their country's victory over Russia. Joseph, hope things are peaceful and you can at least spend some time jogging and going to cafes this weekend as you mark a very, very sad, actually, 1-year anniversary. We'll talk Monday.
Thank you, Bob. Until Monday.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?